Gates right now just said, we could have been following the advice in January. In January, the World Health Organization, to whom you are the second largest donor outside of the United States as a whole, and the same World Health Organization, Bill Gates, whom you said were the best at handling these kinds of crises throughout the history of mankind, told the world through Twitter that it couldn't be transmitted from human to human contact. Let's go to Bill Gates. He looks like an angry Muppet.
He's animated.
You know, it seems.
I was going to say he looks like an albino gecko.
Be clear guidelines.
Well sweatered.
I know we're going to talk about vaccines.
They screen tested him for Geico commercials.
Focused on, but if we get to this point that we're talking about, Bill, with testing and having enough contact tracing, which you say, we should be able to get to these things.
If we use your microchipping, Bill Gates. Let me make sure I bring this up so I have it right, because they'll fact check me if I say microchip. So first off, of course, he said that China did a good job. He trashed the United States response. He said that the World Health Organization is the best organization in the world at dealing with this stuff. Really? The organization that said it couldn't be transmitted through human to human contact? You Windows 2000 inventing prick? And then he said that we had no national tracking system, so he praised South Korea. Does anyone else get absolutely terrified when we talk about contact tracing? Like, people are worried about, it's like, I don't want to, oh my God, on my iPhone, I don't want to accept cookies. Someone I better put a sticky note on it. Contact tracing so the South Korean government can dox me? Sure, sign me up.
Right, people
as long as it keeps me from experiencing... I'll give you all my rights.
Or what is it, the 80% that are asymptomatic or whatever the number is? It's incredibly high. Reg, you can fact check me on that.
I think it's, I've heard anywhere from 25 to 40%. Okay. He's been pushing a nationwide shutdown of everything. And then what he wanted to install, let me bring this up from the Scientific American. You guys can bring it up. Contact tracing dye into children. So you can bring it up as an overlay because people can see it. It looks... I mean, look at that. It looks like a chip.
If it functions like a chip, really, it doesn't matter if you're saying a chip or not.
Going into the skin. It's on the research doc here. You see this?
Yeah, that looks like a chip.
And videos were removed for fact checking. So like, Bill Gates wants us like a tracking chip. Yeah. Like, it's a contact. Tell me that doesn't look like a chip.
Yeah.
Wow, for crying out loud. Look at that. So this is, I want to make sure that I have this right. Hey, actually, can we bring up Reg, the research bandit? Can you give me a quick recap of, I remember contact tracing dye, and it looking very much like a chip, and it was specifically to provide information. This is what I remember, specifically providing information so that people could know which children had been vaccinated and, could star in the next episode of Black Mirror. Reg, do I have that about correct?
Yeah, it's essentially an under the skin tattoo, and it seems to make sense insofar as that you think, well, then you don't need to carry around your vaccination records everywhere with you. But then the problem is that you have this global system of control and tracking people.
Yeah, well,
it's a small price to pay for not having to carry papers. Because you couldn't just take a picture of them and keep them in your phone.
Would be brought to bear, and they'd have very clear advice on things like testing prioritization. So that is a deep set of skills where they're getting input from all the states, but in the entire world, that's the best group of people. There's an opportunity here for them to help with testing prioritization, and I hope they'll seize it.
I agree with Sanjay right now.
I know that
I'm also confused as to what the hell he's
looking at other
saying.
countries. You don't want to look too much in the rearview mirror in terms of what went right or what went wrong there.
We should be listening to doctors like Bill Gates.
Yes, exactly.
Get that guy out.
Well, no, Bill Gates is safe because everything he says goes along with the World Health Organization, including Taiwan
trusted source.
And it cannot be transmitted through human-to-human contact. Here's the thing. Do you know what my qualifications are?
What's that?
Personally, in dispensing medical advice?
Please give it to me.
About the same as Bill Gates.
Right
They're
about
almost
the same.
exactly comparable.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
So neither are qualified.
Yeah, except you're not responsible for Vista.
Or Microsoft Paint.
Hey.
Or the Zune.
Get out of here. Testing in the community, you didn't have all the PCR machines activated to do those tests. So, some places listened to what was being said in January and did those things, and some did not.
Hold on a second.
There's also a lot of things we could have done in terms of innovation way before the epidemic showed up.
Wait, hold on a second.
You know, we'll also,
some places listen to them in January. He's talking about the World Health Organization. This matters. This is what matters the most about this. The left, because they have an echo chamber here, right? And they don't. Have you seen? By the way, has anyone seen them provide any sources at all? By the way,
zero.
Just talking.
Sanjay Gupta jogging in short pants doesn't count.
No,
okay,
does not count.
They haven't shown any sources whatsoever, and just now they're completely unaccountable, so they never get called on their shit. They never have to correct it. And Bill Gates right now just said, we could have been following the advice in January. In January, the World Health Organization, to whom you are the second largest donor outside of the United States as a whole, and the same World Health Organization, Bill Gates, whom you said were the best at handling these kinds of crises throughout the history of mankind, told the world through Twitter that it couldn't be transmitted from human to human contact. So if we were to follow their advice, Bill, what would we have done, Mr. Gates?
There's a lot of trials out in various countries. The list of things being tried is very long. The one I'd have to say I'm the most optimistic about is taking antibodies and manufacturing those, finding the best antibody that a human
Notice
made.
that Bill Gates speaks exactly like Trump, but because he's a nerd, he'll give him more respect. There are a lot of things. Let me just say exactly what he just said about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things that we could do, and we're looking into more things. The one that's most promising is the antibodies, and we're looking at the best antibodies. Just because he has glasses and hasn't been laid in half a century, we're supposed to respect his opinion more.
But, hey, we're here to solve problems. This is the most important tool, the most urgent tool mankind has to invent.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're spending so much time talking about vaccines. But once we get to that point, there's 7 billion, roughly, people on the planet.
Assuming that we get a vaccine, and obviously I'm pro-vaccine for COVID, but that also, you're assuming that everyone is going to take it.
Or will want to take it. Flu vaccines every year that we have. There's this gigantic number of people that just don't do it, including myself for a long time.
What's the number of people who take flu vaccines per year? Reg can probably find. I think it's under 20%.
I would bet it's really low.
I think I bet
older
20%.
people take it a lot, right?
Yeah.
People susceptible to stuff like that would do it, but everybody else whatever. But why are they, again, moving the goalposts? Now it's about the vaccine. We can't do anything until the vaccine.
So here's the thing that's really we need to be clear about with Bill Gates. You can bring this up as an overlay. He thinks we should have a permanent lockdown of everything until we have the vaccine.
No, absolutely not.
Well, I know. Don't argue
No, I'm
with me.
saying I'm arguing with him.
They said it's going to come out in January.
$11 billion is like, guys, don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I'll fund the
I'll be
economy.
safe.
Yeah, he's going to be sitting there with his harem. We're all in this together, guys.
Everybody's out Mad Maxing it around.
And by the way, by harem,
Petrol.
I mean Gerald's favorite, the cast of Cats.
We're all sitting
Really,
at
what
home.
I mean is he's going to have Idris Elba and the clones that he could afford to make
Oh my gosh.
in a hot tub.
Actually, just this flash
big
of
hot
Bill
tub.
Gates in a hot tub with Mr. Mistopheles from Cats. I mean,
the names. I don't.
Yeah.
Someone just asked, will there ever be a home test kit for COVID-19? Are they Are they idiots? There already is.
So it's
There's
like
already a home
40%.
antibody test. I think it's from Quest, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think it's from Quest Labs. I'm sure. What was that was just brought
So
up?
I think that was the number,
Yeah.
the percentage of people that get the vaccine.
Flu vaccine?
Yeah.
Oh, what was the number?
It hovers around 40%.
Looks like 40.
40. Okay, that's higher than I thought. I was wrong. Quest Diagnostics, who came up with a
We're useless. Sorry.
a home antibody test.
We're already drunk.
Because I think it's pathology. There you go.
There it is.
Antibody test.
Yeah.
So that's an antibody test, not just a COVID test,
a
but that
home
tells you if
kit?
you've ever actually had the disease. And then I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, pathology laboratories. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it's LabCorp. They have quick testing stations set up in Walgreens, in a lot of Walgreens.
Like mobile stations?
These are dumb questions. Now here's the challenge, though, right now, and I know all of us are not paying attention. We're all trying to see that Aryan question circulate.
Yeah,
We are. That's the only thing we're looking
That's all
for
we're
now.
looking for. So here is the challenge. I don't know if we can set a timer. For 2 minutes, we are not to talk. We are just to listen to CNN.
And look for Eric.
The
Listening's
promo code is
important.
quarantine because
They're gonna go to
earn
commercial.
this. For 2 minutes, we will watch, after which we'll see if there's anything to actually verify, confirm is correct, or fact check. But for 2 minutes,
All right.
Germany, for example, has done things well, but they did have the benefit that they saw Italy being overwhelmed, and their exposure came after Italy, so they were able to respond. But now the exposure in Sweden and Germany were about at the same time. if you look at the IHME, which is a group that we fund, if you look at their forecast, you had Chris Murray on earlier, you look at the death rate in Sweden versus Germany that they forecast, it's way higher up in Sweden. And so, somebody can decide, a politician, if that's what really happens, was it worth it? That's what this is all about, is if you open activity X, are you willing to accept a somewhat higher health burden because of that? Sweden, they made their decision. They seem happy with their decision, but they are forecast to have substantially higher death rate than most other countries.
One of the things in your paper that I thought was really particularly interesting were all the things that we need to learn about the virus, like if it is weather dependent, how many people never get symptoms but are contagious, what symptoms mean, you should get tested. I mean, there's so much we still don't know about this.
Yeah, there are many countries where the epidemic is not nearly as intense as we would expect. And so is it just a delayed effect? Is there something about the vaccines they get in their youth? People think this BCG vaccine might, be a helpful thing. We don't know. And so we have to assume it's going to be as bad in all those countries. In the Southern Hemisphere, you have Brazil, Australia, South Africa have cases. So they're not completely immune, even though the force of infection may be less.
When you famously talked about preparing for a pandemic.
That's 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay, hold on a second.
We're out of it.
Reg, the research bandit, please bring up Sweden and the fact that they failed to protect and acknowledge their infirm and their older people with their nursing homes. They had a similar situation to New York. And if you look at Sweden is actually middle of the pack compared to Europe. He specifically took Germany and Sweden because he tried to take a country that had very severe measures and also took an early stance. And frankly, they have different demographics comparing it directly to Sweden, which is directly middle of the pack. What would be an accurate comparison as well would be Sweden versus Belgium, Sweden versus France, Sweden versus UK, Sweden versus Spain, Italy. I don't know why he only picked Germany, because it's the one country, I guess, in Western civilization that is actually doing significantly better than the United States, and that's because of a very homogenous culture, an authoritarian government who's very comfortable with removing people's private rights, and they suck. Here's the thing. Germany, good on you. You got coronavirus right. But when it comes to world wars, you're responsible for still all of them, if we're keeping a tally. So it's a trade-off. Just bring up the deaths per million and look at Sweden. They didn't take any measures at all, which we are not even advocating, and they're far better off than some countries who took very strict measures. Not saying they're the best, not saying they're the worst. Right. But that's actually the strongest counter-argument to what Bill Gates is saying, because if Sweden were definitively the best, then we would know, and we'd be basing it off that data. If it were definitively the worst, he would have the best case here that he could make. Instead, it's right. It's like Starsky and Hutch, where they were trying to find out if a guy was named Big because he was small, ironic, and he's 5'10", which is just about average. That's Sweden. Hey, if you enjoyed this show, subscribe or hit the notification bell. It's cold in here, so I'm covering my nips. Hit all notifications on the notification bell, because apparently subscriptions don't mean a whole lot. Look, what they're playing in boxes. Is that what's happening, Quarterback Garrett? There are videos playing in boxes. You should click one of them. Maybe one of them's a mystery box. Could cut glass with these things.